All right, awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. We're excited to talk about AI-Fi Unleashed, revolutionizing Web3 finance and onboarding. So we're looking at right now being AI and blockchain are two of the most transformative and disruptive technologies of our time. And with that combined, they are creating a lot of different potential in the industry as we see it today. So today we want to talk about how it is revolutionizing financial systems, improving usability, and empowering individuals globally. So today we have amazing panelists. In a moment, I'll have them introduce themselves. But we have Han from Bluwhale, Shayan from Movement Labs, Kony from GAIB. So today we'll dive into key opportunities and challenges that these technologies present and how they're shaping onboarding and adoption. So let's go down the line, introduce yourself, what your project is building, and why do you think Web3 and AI is a very important topic to discuss in the upcoming cycle.
Thanks for having me. My name is Sanjideh. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Bluwhale. We are building a consumer intelligence layer on blockchains, which means we are aggregating information across multiple chains in order to profile the right users, their behavior, and then match them to the right assets, to the right tokens, to the right dApps, or even like applications that they want to use. That means as soon as they land in the digital world or Web3, they get personalized recommendations and matching that allows them to be more entertained and have the same experience like in Web 2.
Good afternoon. Kony here, CEO and co-founder of GAIB, where what we want to do is we want to build out the economic layer for AI and compute. So GAIB's name actually draw inspiration from Dune, which listen out GAIB. It also means three pillars that we focus on, including AI, GPU, and financialization. Meaning that we're creating a new market and new commodity assets for AI assets for people to invest into. And the reason behind is, just like spice in Dune, in AI era, compute and compute assets are actually the spice in the AI era. So that we want people to actually grasp that and actually invest into it and also ride on the trend in the future. So right now, if you want to invest into AI, there's literally no way for you to do so other than buying NVIDIA stock. We want to provide you an alternative solution, meaning that you can just invest into the direct assets, which is GPUs, which is empowering the whole compute currency and AI generation. So that's exactly what we do. Happy to jump in more afterwards.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shayan. I'm a DevRel engineer at Movement Labs. And I believe, of all the projects on board, we're the only, our project is the only one that's not AI focused, right? We're building a Move-compatible layer 2 on Ethereum, but nevertheless, we are open to looking at all sorts of different projects, and AI projects definitely being one of them. And we're working with folks such as Bluwhale already, and we just want to be able to have a platform where people can, we want to essentially bring Move onto Ethereum, and we want to enable safer smart contracts. One of the biggest pros of Move is that it's an inherently safer language. It's statically typed. It allows developers to have more flexibility working with resources directly. And when it comes down to stuff like AI, I believe that using Move to not just like Web3 and AI, but using Move specifically in AI can power some pretty novel applications. And I'm really looking forward to discuss the types of applications that could be built in this regard.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for their introduction. So right now, we're going to dive directly into some key opportunities and challenges within each of our projects and things kind of you're seeing in the market. So let's go to Han first. How does Bluwhale AI empower individuals to turn data into financial assets? And how are you seeing the DeFi space integrating with AI?
For sure. It's a really good question. And to just give you guys a little bit of background, both me and my co-founder, we came out of AI since 2007 and 2011. So he did his PhD at Stanford. I was at Berkeley writing consumer prediction models back in the days. And when I got into Web3, which is like 3 years ago, I realized that a lot of the infrastructure is not there to actually power AI. So I just want to be very transparent, right? Like we are in a very, very early stage when it comes to Web3 plus AI. And so there are a couple of missing factors kind of not existent at this point. And so, one of the reasons we work with Movement Labs because we looked at so many different chains. And for some of you builders that are building applications on blockchains, you know how difficult it is to get the data off the blockchain, how long it takes, how expensive it is, right? And now think of it, you need to do it at lightning speed so that AI can train on it and then can use it in order to do the inference. Now, if you need, like, let's say, like a couple hours to grab it from Ethereum, or even like Solana, that honestly on my side doesn't even work to grab the data, then the problem is like, how are you going to build AI applications on top of it, right? So that's where I see a huge opportunity for great L2s like Movement Labs that are accelerating speed, accelerating accessibility of the data, and then being able to drive down costs and at the best security possible. Now, at Bluwhale, what we do is we want to understand your transactions on-chain because we want to match you at a very secure and safe layer so that people, like applications that are built on top of it, can serve you better. That means they can send you the right airdrops, they can send you the right applications, they can send you the right NFTs or tokens that you like to be entertained or engaged with, right? And that's how we define what Bluwhale does. We see ourselves as an L3. And from an L3 perspective, when you're starting to aggregate intelligence at this level, then you can funnel the intelligence into the consumer layer, which is like consumer-facing applications, DeFi platforms, Web3 games, all those kind of applications will require an L3 like us. And that's kind of like what Bluwhale does to the world. And if you talk about AI plus DeFi, we decentralize our network by powering individuals to hold nodes and run nodes on their smartphones. Because looking at the AI space in Web3, you have decentralized compute, you have decentralized storage, but when you come out of AI like me, then you need on GCP, we used to have all three components at one in GCP, right, on AWS. So what we thought, like, if you tap into people's mobile phones and allow them to contribute storage, compute, and data, then you have all components in one, and you build a layer like that. That's literally like how we do DeFi that way.
Awesome. That's a very interesting use case. You're even building on Movement. So maybe moving to Shayan, like, how does Movement see AI being developed on chain, and are there, what type of projects or applications do you guys usually look for to integrate more AI?
Right. So I think that's a great question. I think one of the biggest reasons is that why Movement exists, why the Movement network exists, is that essentially we want to bring performance and security to Ethereum, two things that Ethereum is currently lacking, right? With regards to performance, Move utilizes a parallelized VM, so depending on what types of transactions one wants to commit onto the blockchain, due to the statically typed nature of the Move language, you're able to tell, or even you and both you, if you're an auditor or you're just looking at the code, you're able to tell that, hey, this code being executed here is vastly different than this code here. So those two transactions are able to be executed in parallel. This is in contrast to Ethereum, where every single transaction, regardless of what it's doing, has to wait in the same queue. So where Ethereum is like a single lane bike road, Move provides this multi-lane highway. So that's performance. With regards to security, because Move is statically typed, you're able to catch so many bugs and common glitches and hacks before they even happen. So I think as of date, more than, $7 billion worth of funds have been hacked through Ethereum contracts to date. And one of the things that Move does is that we want to bring this performance and security without making a compromise for both. So the reason why I'm talking about that is because when you are talking about AI specifically, right, you are dealing with people's data, and I would assume most people do care about their data. They don't want it to be hacked. They don't want their data to be leaked. So when you are using platforms like Bluwhale, so when it does come down to integrating platforms such as Bluwhale, we want to provide this security to our users as well. We want them to be ensured. We want to ensure to them that, yeah, right, your data is not going to be hacked or stolen or lost in such a way. With regards to using an L3, for example, I think L3s currently get a lot of flack on social media for, okay, we have L3s now, what's next? L4s? But I think with regard to what we're building, because the Movement doesn't have a dedicated AI layer, I think in this case it makes a lot of sense actually to integrate an L3, because that is just another specialization that's being added on top of the chain. So I would encourage critics to look further than just, oh, what's next, L4, L5, and actually think of why an L3 would exist in the first place.
Awesome, thank you, Shayan. Let's move to Kony. So, how do you see AI infrastructure being built on layer ones, layer twos, or just in the industry as a whole? But also, what is GAIB building in terms of building the economic infrastructure for AI and compute? And what are the implications of that and impact in the industry?
Yeah, sure. So at GAIB, we're actually one of the earliest advocates of AI-Fi, the concept of that. Because to us, we believe that the blockchain does not only bring all these unique features of decentralization, trustlessness, transparency, so on and so forth. It actually brings business model and also tokenization, the whole economic incentive to the project. Because if you look at Web 1 versus Web 3, we're both open source, we both fight for decentralization here. But the difference is Web 1, we don't really have a business model. That's why all the protocols back then became public goods. Right now, with tokenization, we actually enable a long-term sustainable economy to be built out. So that's why to us, AI and Fi, the blockchain crossover, actually brings business model to all the different perspectives. And underneath this big theme and big category, there are several people building different types of infrastructures and also building different types of application behind. For example, we have decentralized compute networks, we can have decentralized data labeling platforms, we can have decentralized model training platforms, and also tokenizing these models for people to invest into them. Where for us, at GAIB, we actually focus on the asset level, where these computation assets can be tokenized and financialized, so that people can invest into them, and then also to capture the upside. Because if you look at the whole Gen AI supply chain right now, it's actually a smart curve. What it means by smart curve is, on the left-hand side, these are all the infrastructure, meaning the hardware of GPUs that captures most of the values right now. And if you also look at all these AI companies and hardware companies, how much they make, NVIDIA still makes most of the money. And the others like ChatGPT, Midjourney, they're catching up, but they're still not there yet. And on the other hand, on the right-hand side, these are the applications. Well, I think that these two side, left and right, will actually explode and be even bigger market there. But in the middle, the middleware who's building toolings, building the middleware services, they might actually be squeezed in between. So that's why we focus a lot on the left-hand side, because we have the capabilities and also the unique accessibility there. And regarding the economic layer that we built, it actually comprises of two components. One is called financialization. The other one is called liquidity. So what we want to do is we want to make computation assets an investable product, similar to gold, right? So in the gold economy, you have gold, which is really precious, but it's actually very hard to trade because of the high trading frictions and low liquidity there. That's why people started to financialize gold to make them different types of instruments, like ETF, futures, options, notes, whatever these instruments, they can invest into them without actually moving the underlying gold. And afterwards, they have different types of exchanges that allow you to trade these gold assets to capture that. So it's the same thing for GPU assets. High trading frictions, low liquidity, and even with technical barrier. But we want to make it a de facto assets because these are really variable. Because if you saw what Elon Musk is saying is, they're loading up all the GPUs because they empower what they can train for the models of XAI. They can empower whatever Tesla is building for the autonomous driving there. So for us, through the two different assets, through financializing these GPUs, making it into an investable instrument, and then building all the DeFi Legos on top, including GPU-backed stablecoins, lending and borrowing, options and futures, structured products like PD and YT. We actually create different types of products for people who would like to get exposure into these asset class as they wish. So that's how we enable the whole economic layer for AI and compute there.
Awesome. Today we talked a lot about infrastructure, and like Han said, we're super early, right? So even at 0G, we're just trying to build the infrastructure layers so that all of these things that everyone is building is actually possible on chain. So moving towards onboarding and adoption, even if we're a little farther away, for the panelists, how can AI improve our user experience and accessibility to actually onboard new users into Web3 finance or just any industry in AI, any industry in Web3? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
For sure. I mean, I take this question because we specialize on personalization, right? And a lot of people ask, why do you need personalization, right? People that come to blockchains, they want to earn money, they want to trade, they want to yield, and then they want to get out. But the thing is, how I see blockchain is more like a long-term technology that's going to be adapting worldwide. I believe of blockchain and Web3 as something that's going to replace Web2. And so in order to do that, we need to bring in the next wave of adoption, which means normal consumers that are already used to personalized experiences on a daily basis, right? You open your YouTube, you open your Spotify, you open your, like whatever, right? Like the content that you see, the content you consume is tailored to your taste and who you are, right? In Web3, we don't have that. And now think of it, right? Digital assets, content, and different pieces can be created within seconds. Now there will be infinite amounts. How do you find what you want to, consume? And that's kind of like where like the user adoption makes a lot of sense when you personalize the experience once the user lands in the Web3 world, understanding what they want, so that within the first 3 seconds you are showing them why they are here for. And like this, we can then attract more people from the Web2 world to actually shift over and join the Web3 force, because that's kind of like the same experience. Now we are at par of what they are already used to. And that's why I believe AI can make a huge contribution to.
Awesome. And then maybe we can move to Shayan, since you guys just launched TG. Congratulations for Movement. But I'm sure you guys are always thinking about onboarding and adoption. Do you have any thoughts on how you guys can leverage AI a little bit more to help smooth that process and onboard more people?
Right, of course. And I think this goes back to like what AI and like technology should be about at like a philosophical level, right? 2,000 years ago, we were using like hoes and plows to farm, right? Then we invented like a way for people to use like a bison or whatever, like some type of like using animals, right? Skip forward, like if you like flash forward a little bit, people were handwriting books, then they invented the printing press, then they invented computers. So I think at the end of the day, technology, like over the past like 2,000 to 3,000 years since like human civilization, we have relied on technology to make our lives easier. This is why we all drive cars now instead of like a horse and buggy, right? So I think AI is like one of the next biggest shifts in this technology with regard to making our lives like better, right? I know it's very easy to be like an AI like doomist, right? AI is gonna take all our jobs. AI is gonna like, what are we gonna do when like what are we gonna do when like AI has like automated humans away to like nothingness? So kind of like a detour, but like that goes back to like what I want to say is like, how can we use AI to make people, or how can we use AI to onboard new users? I think at the end of the day, it is just a new technology. Both AI and blockchain are new technologies that make people's lives easier. So with regard to like blockchain specifically, I think like one of the biggest use cases that blockchain has enabled to date is DeFi. Like for better or worse, I think DeFi is still going to be like the primary use case for blockchain technology. So how can AI come in? I think AI can come in how like developers have been using it. Like as a developer myself, I use AI almost every single day, and I use it as a tool because, and again, I don't know if this will last forever, right? I think we do like live in the sweet spot of an era where AI is here to make our lives easier. So like there is that plus, and it hasn't like taken all our jobs yet, right? So I think we are pretty lucky to be living in like this sweet spot era. And yeah, I think just nevertheless, we do plan on using AI to make either our like developers' lives easier, because as from like the lab's perspective, one of the biggest, and as a dev even more particularly, like one of my biggest like day-to-days is looking at is talking to developers, talking to people building these dApps, and via AI we can make their lives easier, developers' lives easier, and these developers can also use AI in their projects to make their customers happier and providing less friction for their users as well.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then maybe we can move to Kony for a little bit, because I think along with the philosophy of like why AI, why Web3, a big draw of Web3 and AI is being able to bring AI to the masses, having it democratized, making it fair, transparent. How does the compute economy democratize access to these advanced financial tools and infrastructure and bringing that to the masses?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, we focus on making these like computation assets being accessible to people, because if you look at, that's the analogy I always give, right? So AI is like a brain of a human, and then computation assets is like the heart, which is keep on beating and to empower the brain to think, and also to keep on working, generating new ideas, similar to what AI models and being used for. So for our end, we aim to democratize the entry level or the entry threshold for people to invest into these types of assets. Because if you actually want to invest into GPU asset class, there's technically no way. We have a commodity market for everything else. We have a commodity market for orange, for corn, for even like gas, oil, anything else, but no GPUs. Like how ridiculous is that? So that's why what we do is create a new type of asset for people to do so, to invest into it. And the other thing is, a lot of people want to ride on the AI future or the compute future. But most of the time right now, what they do is trading meme coins. Well, that's a good thing, right? AI agents, meme coins, investing to them. But you can also choose to invest into the base layer, which is like all the infrastructure side. And as Vitalik says, we need some external yield into the ecosystem. Otherwise, it's just like our borrows. Like we're feeding on ourselves or feeding on each other PvP. So what we do is we bring actual revenue, actual AI demands in the Web 2, in the Web 3 side, dish cash flow into crypto. So the products that we offer is people actually buying the underlying computation demands, computation assets, they pay for it. And then afterwards, you invest into it as an investor, you get a return. And just let you know how much these like AI assets being made annually or ROI is that. If you listen to Jensen Huang, like of course number got inflated a bit, but an AI H200 GPU, for example, or H100 GPU, the ROI is actually 6 to 12 months. Meaning that if you invest $1 now, in 4 years, you're gonna get $4 back. So $7 back. That equates to almost like 200% APR. So you can't find that high yield assets anywhere else right now. Not real estate. You can't find it in not car, not any other assets. So that's why what we want to do is we want to provide an instrument and also an investment channel for anybody, for the mass public, want to ride on the AI generation, the growth there. Just give them the way for it. So that's what we focus on. And other than that, what we're driving with the values that we're providing to the market is when there's more capital flowing to this market, more assets can be bought, more data centers, more AI cloud companies can be set up, lower prices for AI inferencing, training, so that eventually we can actually empower more capable models right now. Because if you look at the most performant AI models, it's somehow like 450B model by Nemtron, NVIDIA. There's another one being trained up. So we only have 450B open source models right now because we only have so much computation power. If you have more, we can actually have $1 trillion parameters, big models, more capable. Well, I don't want to dive into the small language model discussion there, but that's what I want to say is we're at the bottleneck of computation power, but not at the bottleneck of what's being capable by other things else. Of course, data is actually one of the key elements we need to train it up because data in the whole supply chain is like if you have good data, like good things in, good things out. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out. But in between, you still need the machine, you still need the computation power and the electricity to actually do the configuration, train the model, and do the inferencing there. So that's what our values bring to the table. To investors, we give them one way to invest. To these decentralized computation network or cloud or AI companies who wants computation power, we provide them with more computation power there. So these are the value, and also to the market, we create a market for GPU assets to be traded, which does not exist right now. So these are the values to the market that we bring to the table.
Great, thanks for giving us insight of the value. I feel like we're so deep into Web3 and AI, we kind of understand that, but the whole point is kind of convincing others outside of Web3 to come into our industry and kind of see that value. So the next question, I want to talk a little bit about policy and kind of global strategy in the macro. This is a hot topic, obviously, in our industry. Trump has now been elected as president, and he has hinted on aggressively pushing AI, Web3 intelligence to position the U.S. as a leader, and hopefully maybe that will, allow other countries to follow suit. So how do you guys see this influencing the global landscape? And should regions like Taiwan or places that you guys are at adopt a similar strategy? And, what pros and cons do you see coming out of this?
Who wants to take the political question here?
I can go.
Okay.
You want to go?
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
Well, I think, Trump's election or his victory is very bullish for technologists in general. So whether you are working in blockchain, whether you're working in AI, I think, coming from a very libertarian perspective, I think the less regulation You can like say like how much is too much or how little is too little, right? But I do think, especially compared to Europe, which has really been stifling technology, especially AI, and AI more than anything else, Europe has been stifling. So I think if America does take an opposite approach, if America does take the more like libertarian, and not even just libertarian, but like welcoming approach, right? I think it's one thing if the government does nothing. It's another thing too if the government is actively helping AI projects, Web3 projects. For the longest time, American Web3 companies have been forced to incorporate like offshore for whatever reason, right? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if it wasn't Trump, it was someone in his cabinet or administration that said that they're looking for, correct me, not taxing tokens or just having more like more chill like regulatory framework, right? And for our people, for us in our industry, this is always going to be a plus. And I hope that America can influence other countries, be it Taiwan, be it China too, right? Because I think China too recently lifted the ban on Bitcoin. I mean, that's another thing because they might ban it again. Who knows what they're doing? But nevertheless, I think, yeah, having Trump/America like lead in that regard, I think will only benefit the rest of the world.
So I'm going to take a different stab at it because I think it's a tricky question. So I think regulations are very important for AI, especially the direction and the speed it's headed. I do also think that having in Web2 all those large AI companies like OpenAI define where AI is going to go, what it's going to do, and how it's going to optimize for profit is very dangerous to all of us. And so I actually believe that the blockchain makes a huge difference. Right? For example, for Bluwhale, we want to give governance of our AI to the people that are contributing to Bluwhale. That means like the people that are holding tokens, people that are contributing to the system, people that are running nodes, people that are in our ecosystem. Like this, we believe that from a democratic perspective, if you're voting for which direction AI should go, it's decided by the people, not by Sam Altman. And that's kind of like how I see the regulation and actually Web3 and AI actually making a huge difference because now you're democratizing where the direction going to go. And from there, only good AI is going to evolve because it's going to be, kind of like serving the population and not a single person or single big investor that gave you, I don't know, Microsoft invested how many $1 billion? Anyways, you guys understand what I mean, right?
Yeah, just want to add something. So, Trump administration comes up, definitely bullish for the industry and also on AI side because they're pushing for it. There's always, I'm not sure whether you have seen a meme like this. Like they're saying, they're depicting Taiwan as a racket, like using Dune reference, and everybody's want to, I don't want to say the conquer, but I want to like attack or to acquire all the talents from TSMC and the chips being made there, right? So. This is a precious island. Like Taiwan is a good place that we need to fight for, and also it will be at the heart of all the AI revolution in in foreseeable future. And I do think that there will be more spicy regulations comes out regulating these like computation assets being sold to the end users. Of course, China being banned, right? And then the other areas like SEA might be at a tough position, but we will see. Because, computation assets are actually key for anything. Create your own models, especially when the Southeast Asian countries are trying to train their own national ChatGPT LLM. So that will actually be kind of, a pretty hot debate versus like East and West and also national level. So that will be kind of, uncertain regulations coming up, I would say.
Great. We're about at time, so I want to make sure that we don't go over. But thank you guys so much for sharing your contributions and your thoughts on Web3 and AI. And we understand that Web3 and AI is still super early, so please definitely go check out projects of these panelists to learn a little bit more on like why Web3 and AI, how it can really impact the future of AI and how we can kind of front run a lot of these problems or concerns from traditional closed AI that we're trying to battle and fix from the ground up right now. So you guys are super early and we're so excited to have everyone here kind of share their thoughts, and please chat with them a little bit after if you have any questions, and we're excited to meet you guys and help you learn a little bit more about our industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.